Hey Courtney, what's cooler than two black women topping country music charts?
Is it that it's all happening during Black History Month?
Yeah, and one of them is a lesbian.
A lesbian?
Welcome to MILF,
I'm Courtney,
and I'm Jennifer.
and we are two moms into literary freedom. So the lesbian that you speak of here is one of my all-time favorite musicians, Tracy Chapman, right?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me more about that.
So she performed recently with Luke Combs.
Who I also really like a lot more now.
I only recognize the name because my daughter likes country music. I'm not a huge country music fan, but I'm always iffy. Like I'm like, is he a good one or a bad one? Because there's like another one that likes to drop the N word.
Wait, who's that one? Hold on, I think
I get him confused.
Is it
Morgan
Wallen?
Him.
Yeah, because he was caught using the N-word, right?
I think more than once.
And he says he hasn't. He doesn't think about racism in country music, like, but it is racist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. He was like drunk. Suddenly he's drunk and he starts dropping the N word.
Okay.
And it was, if I remember correctly, at his neighbor. Mm-hmm. Because he was, I don't know, just drunk and pissed. He's racist.
Okay.
I don't care whichever way people want to paint it. I think that's just very racist.
It's musicians, country musicians like him that give other country musicians a bad reputation.
And it's country music listeners because after that controversy, he wasn't shunned. His sales went up. And like he skyrocketed. Like he's always been popular, right? But like his sales went up.
That's disgusting. So, yeah, here I have this statistic right here. It says he almost immediately saw a 1,220%. I didn't know you can go above 100%.
I didn't. Yeah.
Math. Here we are. Increase in digital album sales and a 327% increase in song sales.
Yeah.
Those are huge increases.
And that's not the only time that's happened. There's the, I think we talked about it in a previous episode, the Jason Aldean guy.
He's racist too?
He'll deny it, I think, but he came out with the song, Try That in a Small Town.
Ugh, that
and
does
then
sound racist.
Try what in a small town?
Tell me, and who are you talking to?
Right. And then the video is very like, patriotic, and he's like, try that in a small town.
Doesn't it show like real footage of something happening?
Not real footage, but they're filming.
They just make it look real?
They're filming I think they're showing like riots in the video.
Okay.
And it does show real riots, and it's kind of portraying like that's America, and then it came out that those videos were not even in the United States.
Oh my God, of course.
So
I think I'm looking at something that the New York Times put out on it, and it was something that the Jason Aldean's music video used like an actual lynching site.
That's what. Yes.
Oh.
So it's like a courthouse, I think.
Yeah.
That they used.
Yeah.
And he's literally performing on the,
like trying to send some sort of like message in a sort of not like in a secretive way, but it's pretty obvious.
Right.
Yeah.
Everyone who lives
Not
in that
so
area
discreet.
knows the history of that courthouse. So
we can read between the lines here. That's pretty racist.
Yeah. Yeah, and everybody had the question. And again, his sales went up.
Oh, really?
Like they rallied behind him.
That's
because the song was not doing well before that. This controversy came, and they were like, "Oh, is that what this song is about?"
And
I love that.
Both of these things happened 2021, 2023. So recently,
yeah.
And this is all like, I maintain 2016 and on is like when Donald Trump became president. It's like all of these racists were suddenly given permission to be outwardly racist.
Yeah.
Instead of like sort of pretending not to be, even though they always were, right? But it's like, now we can do it out loud and in public and in music videos.
Right. And there's always this like, now Beyonce's she's putting out a country album. Mm-hmm. And it's been, received with very mixed reviews.
Right. It was denied to be played on that radio station.
Right.
Which they later backtracked, which good for them.
Oh, because they got inundated with
okay.
The Beehive does not play.
I thought it was the Bayhive.
Beehive. Whatever it is, please don't be mad at me. I'm sorry.
Do not get the Bayhive mad at us.
Her fans are, they bat for her, and they went in and they bombarded them with calls and stuff, and they had to backtrack. Of course, now they're saying, well, we didn't know she put out a country song.
Yeah, and they're not the only radio station doing this because, let's see, according to Forbes, Beyonce's new songs, including 16 Carriages, which is the second song that she released.
This track,
yeah, and it's kind of a slower song. I haven't heard it yet.
I haven't heard that one either.
Okay, so both of the, and you know why we haven't heard it? Because they're not playing it on the radio. Because there are 150 country stations that report to Billboard's country airplay chart. And only 8 of them have reported playing Texas Hold'em in the first day that it's been released, and none of them have played 16 Carriages. So
wow, out of 150.
Yeah, they're not even playing it. So of course that was at the time that the song was released, so maybe it's different now, but it's still the point, right?
Yeah.
Which is just the idea that it's not country, that she can't be country.
Right.
Because she's black. Being from Texas apparently isn't enough, but okay. Because
the name of the song is Texas Hold'em, right?
Right.
That should have been a clue. Maybe I should listen to it, and it might be.
Yeah, and if it sounds like country, and if it's fucking Beyonce, you should play it.
And she's been snubbed before, right? Because she tried with another song.
Oh, Daddy's Lessons. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So Daddy's Lessons was on her album Lemonade. Is it called Lemonade?
Yeah, I think so.
And it's a country song. It's not on a country album, but we listened to it. And first of all, I love it. But it does sound very country. But she was denied by the Grammys for us. She tried to submit it.
For a country song nomination?
Yeah, in the country song category. And she was denied because they said it wasn't country enough.
So with the Daddy's Lessons, right? That's the name of the song. I'd never heard it, so I just played it now to listen to it. And my first thought when I was listening to it was, it's giving jazz vibes to me in the beginning before she started singing.
Right.
Come to find out in our research that obviously country music has a lot of
jazz origins.
Yes, there's a lot of black roots in country music, and they've just kind of whitewashed it along the way, and
of course,
and that gets
that's what
forgotten.
We do best.
So not only that, but the banjo also came from West Africa.
Yeah, musicologists actually have evidence that the banjo is a descendant of something called a lute, West African lutes, made out of gourds, pumpkins.
Okay, that's
which
cool.
is really cool. And they were brought to America by enslaved Africans, which then became a central part of enslaved African music and of course culture in the South. And some interesting thing about that is slave owners they called it dancing the slaves, which is so
Ooh.
Yeah, I know, it's terrible. It's like walking the dog, it's just a terrible way to refer to a human being.
Right.
But of course that's what they did back then. And so they would have enslaved Africans perform and play the instruments to, quote, exercise them. And then later, the instruments were used to entertain slave masters in their own homes and at dances. So they were being forced to entertain white people with their banjos, which were called lutes. And then they started performing privately for each other. And keeping their culture, their music alive.
So with the banjo as well, Texas, her new song, Texas Hold'em, starts with a very much
that's right,
a banjo intro. I don't know what's
very
called that.
banjo-y.
Yes, and so the player of this banjo is and I'm probably going to butcher this, Rhiannon Giddens.
Okay,
and she has she's a Pulitzer Prize winner, a MacArthur recipient, and an 8-time Grammy Award winner for her
Yeah.
banjo playing.
And she was in Carolina Chocolate Drops. They're not a band anymore, but she was in it. Yeah.
And that's was that a country?
Yeah. Well, I actually have it right here. Let's listen to it. You ready?
Go.
Okay, I had to stop there because I don't want to play too much of it, but that sounds very country to me.
Right. That's very. It reminds me of like the Disney ride that they're shutting down.
That very racist
Disney ride. Yes.
See, all of this is connected. Like, it's definitely something that needs to be talked about and isn't talked about.
Right, because there's this idea that Black people don't belong in country music,
right?
And it turns out you guys have country music. Because of Black people.
Yeah. And just before we move on, the name of that song, first of all, I'm really excited to listen to Carolina Chocolate Drops. The talent just from, one song is amazing. So I can't wait to hear their other songs. But it's called Cornbread and Butterbeans.
That's so country.
And I think they're singing in it, but I didn't want to play, I don't know, like I don't want to get in trouble for playing
right.
Then 20 seconds of the song. But yeah, like when Florida is doing shit like banning AP African American Studies, how are any of us, especially our kids, supposed to learn about the origins of the banjo?
Right.
And like the true origins of country music. So we just assume that country is a white thing.
Right. And this is not just a Florida problem because we see it in other states. I think Florida and Texas might be where it started, but it's definitely spreading. So, yeah, we can't deny that these things happen. We can't keep whitewashing history.
Right.
And it's the erasure of Black culture.
Exactly.
And which is, I think, part of what they're claiming. I don't think she's made this claim, but other people have. That Beyoncé is kind of reclaiming culture. Okay. And that's why she put out a country album.
Oh, and that's part of her Renaissance album series, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So, again, just learning this, but apparently she's putting out 3 albums. And so this is the second one, the second act of Renaissance.
So, Act 1, didn't you say it was sort of like I guess it could be gathered or assumed that it was an... homage? Did I say that right?
Homage?
Homage? We don't know. Dedication to Black and queer pioneers. And then Act 2, which is the one that's going to be released March 29th, is a reclamation, well, it's thought to be a reclamation of Black roots.
Right. And so the first one, not only was it an homage to Black and queer history, but also a reclaiming of like house and jazz.
Oh, the house genre that I just learned about. Well, which, can you describe it to me?
No, don't ask me to. I'm not good with genres. I think house music, shoot, I can't even tell you of a song or...
just Google it.
Yeah, we'll have to look it up.
Okay, all right. But that's cool. I can't wait to see what Act 3. Can you imagine?
Right.
Act 2 hasn't even dropped yet, and I'm like, oh, what's she going to do for Act 3?
I know, and I'm suddenly interested in country music because it's all over. Again, if you don't know this by now, I spend a lot of time on TikTok, and that song has really taken off on there. So now it's like really growing on me.
Yeah. And Daddy's Lessons, too. That's not even on this album. That was on, like I said, that's a country song that...
I'd really never heard that one. It was really good.
It's really good, yeah. And... I guess I can speak from my perspective as like growing up in a very country town as a white girl who's all of my friends listened to country music. Yeah. Like, and also in the town that we live in, there are so many country stations. Like, there are way more country stations than any other music station. So you're kind of forced to just listen to it. I wasn't a huge fan of country music as a teenager, but I didn't really have a choice.
Right.
And I didn't really start exploring other genres of music until I left this town. But my experience as like a kid growing up around that stuff, it was like very much like this is white people music.
Right.
Black people aren't allowed to listen to it. But you know what else I saw was like the white friends, quote friends, that I had they would listen to rap and they would say the words in the song.
Right.
And they're like, and I'm like, you can't say that word. They're like, well, I can say it because they said it. I'm like, that doesn't mean you can say it. So they would like say the N-word.
Right.
Because it was in the song. And I'm like, but country is white and black people aren't allowed to listen to country.
Right.
So it's so hypocritical and disgusting.
It is. And they back it up when they do things like support artists that do racist things.
Like Jason Aldean.
And instead of like saying like, that's iffy, that's not cool, they're just like back it up 100%.
Yeah.
Like, here, let's make you more money. Let's put you on the charts.
They can't have their own opinions or thoughts.
So we'll see how Beyonce does in the country genre, but...
Well, Darius Rucker from Hootie and the Blowfish, I saw some TikTok where, he decided to kind of break out from Hootie and the Blowfish and go down the country road. And a lot of people, told him that, that he wouldn't be able to make it, but he made it. I'm sure it wasn't without struggle.
Right.
And also that reminds me of Lil Nas. Is it Lil Nas X?
Lil Nas X, yeah.
Why isn't it just Lil Nas?
I don't know.
I thought it used to be Lil Nas.
No, that's I think a different artist.
Okay.
Lil Nas is a different... Hold on, let me look it up.
So you're right. There is a Nas.
Oh, okay.
Nas. I don't know. Forgive me. I don't know how to say it. But he, I guess, was inspired by Nas. So his stage name is Lil Nas X, right? And so he explains on social media about his name being similar to the hip-hop legend Nas, and fans respond with funny name suggestions, which I thought was really funny. They were like, change it to Lil Billy Ray.
Was this after he did the remix?
It had to be, yeah. Because, so going back to what I was saying about Old Town Road, which I think is very country.
Right.
Even though he's a rapper, fine. But you can be a rapper and write a country song. Right. Right? Like...
I mean, there's a lot of
why are there
rappers
rules?
that grew up in the South.
Right. So here's why I'm bringing this up. Billboard said that Lil Nas X's Old Town Road wasn't country enough. They said they took it off the charts because it did not embrace enough elements of today's country music. So
of today's country music.
Of today's country, yeah. So I don't know if that changed after he did the duet with Billy Ray Cyrus, but he fucking did a duet with Billy Ray Cyrus.
Right.
Like, how much more country do you need to get?
Yeah, that's wild. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait. The remix peaked at number 50 on Billboard's country airplay chart.
Okay, so what that tells me is you can't be country unless you have someone white who is helping you.
Right.
Like, why couldn't it be by himself? So again, it's just like, more evidence of the racism that exists in the country music genre.
And why Black history is important. And we need to stop canceling these classes and bring them back.
Mm-hmm. Because can you imagine, like, as someone who writes curriculum, like, the unit that students would study in this African American studies class, all about music history. Like, you could learn so much about history, right? Mm-hmm. Important events that happened in American history and in African American history in music. And that's what would actually, encourage the students to learn because it's something that's relevant to them.
Yeah.
As opposed to just like read this boring chapter out of your whitewashed history book.
You know where I've learned most of my Black history from?
TikTok?
Yes. Correct. But like, holy shit, I'm blown away sometimes by the things that I didn't know. Mm-hmm. And like, I can't recount it now because my memory is shit. But
I know, don't you hate that?
But things like the light bulb, right? They only talk about Thomas Edison inventing it, but they never mention Lewis Latimer, who, thanks to him, we have a longer lasting light bulb.
Yeah, see, because and of course they never mention that. I can't think of anything right now, but I'm sure there are just like hundreds of examples like that where, Black inventors are just not given the credit, or females for that matter, or Black females.
I also Can you imagine that? Hidden Figures, that if before that I didn't know that
there were black female scientists that were actually responsible for some really amazing things. Yeah, that was a good movie, Hidden Figures. And yeah, and it's stuff like that can't be taught in Florida.
Right.
And I think, you could argue like, oh no, you're allowed to teach, that in Florida, but let's just face the reality that teachers are covering their asses and they're not going to take time out of their busy schedule to actually, teach something that might piss off a parent.
Right.
Under the legislature, that they can complain about anything that they want and get that teacher fired.
Exactly.
So they're not going to do that anymore.
Especially when there's also less books available for kids to do research on.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They don't want to accept books if it's DEI coded in any way.
Right, and that's what I think I've said this before. At the beginning of the school year, I donated all these beautiful hardcover. I tried to donate all these beautiful hardcover books that had and it wasn't even, it was like these beautiful cartoon drawings.
Right.
Of lots of different people, not just black people, but it was like people from all different backgrounds, right? And it was like 50 activists, entrepreneurs, and engineers that you should know about.
Right.
That
history.
Yeah, that was not allowed to be donated to the school. I know this because I donated some other very safe, quote, safe books, like, I don't know, Pig the Pug or Pug the Pig,
Okay.
Like from, it's a fucking pug. Like, what are you gonna have a problem? Well, I don't know. They might have a problem with the pug, but anyway, the point is, those books were accepted.
Oh, so specifically, they were like, this one we can't take.
Yes,
Holy.
but I do think it was a case of the teacher covering their ass.
Right.
So, and that's basically DeSantis's Florida. He's made it so that people just have to err on the side of caution.
Right. And now that they're getting a lot of pushback, he's trying to say like, no, that's not the intent, blah, blah, blah. Bullshit. Like, you supported it. You made like a big to-do about it.
Right.
You canceled these classes. You've...
Under the false claim, so the class that you're talking about is AP, African American Studies.
Yes.
And it is not a new course. It's been a College Board course for 10 years, and it was rejected by Education Commissioner Manny Diaz Jr. because this is what he wrote. We proudly require the teaching of African American history. We do not accept woke indoctrination masquerading as education. But they basically said we can't allow this course in our state because it teaches critical race theory. But someone from the College Board even tried to explain that and denied these accusations that critical race theory is even included in the course, and said that it explores, the issue of inequality. It's too advanced for high school students or even college level to talk about critical race theory, which is, again, the false narrative that they've been pushing is that we want critical race theory, which is not even something that I am comfortable explaining.
My understanding, it's like a legal course, right?
Yes. If you want to become a lawyer. Yeah. And even then, I don't even know if it's it's probably gone forever.
Right. Not required here in Florida, but...
Right. Yeah. You can be a lawyer.
And this is just going off memory and again, my memory sucks. Didn't they have an issue also with something in that course that had to do with, they were highlighting like queer, black... I'm
sure.
History.
Yeah.
And they wanted that out as well.
Yeah. I don't know if that doesn't ring any bells off the top of my head, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like, that's...
I could be confusing it with something else they did. Something else they didn't like.
Right.
But yeah, I do remember something like that.
Well, yeah, because the Stop Woke Act kind of like covers the whole thing, right? It covers the, supposed teaching of CRT, and it also covers like the whole gender identity, topic of conversation. So it's like, it's just a terrible act that prevents teachers from teaching anything mildly progressive in the state.
In a not so, or I should say, like a twist, a good thing that came out of this, which shouldn't have to come out of this. We have 4 Jacksonville students that created a curriculum for other students. And they did this after visiting the National Memorial for Peace and Justice in Montgomery, Alabama.
Oh.
So they did it kind of in response to the 2022 Florida law, the Stop Woke Act. And so they created their own Black History curriculum to enhance education for students outside of the classroom, because you can't teach it in the classroom.
Right.
And it's really cool. They will put a link in the show notes to buy the curriculum and support them. Let me see what it says. The curriculum covers more than a dozen topics over more than 80 pages and is available for teachers across the country to buy for their students.
But teachers can't buy it in Florida.
Well,
but
not in Florida, but we can buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get it.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
And it was really cool because they also focused on current history.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So they decided to go from the 1980s up until the 2020s.
Ooh.
So it says the one thing we have that others don't is the newer perspective on Black history.
Wow. That is very rare. Yeah.
Topics they cover are athletes like Florence Griffith Joyner, as well as Colin Kaepernick.
Okay.
But also Rodney King and what Randolph refers to as not the LA riots from 1992, but rather the LA Rebellion.
Yes. That is so cool. I definitely want to buy that. We'll put that in our show notes. And that, I don't know if you already said this, but like this was created by high school students in Jacksonville?
Yeah, these are high school students. It's actually a junior. So they didn't do it at school. They did it with a program called, or an organization called 904 Ward.
Okay.
Oh, Forward, I guess.
Yeah,
but
Forward.
It's the number 904 WARD.
So this is probably like an organization that like you either don't need parent permission for, or parents have given them permission.
Right.
So it's not a public school
No.
thing.
It's like an after-school activity,
right.
I think.
And I'm sure it's, inspired because of the Stop Woke Act. Like,
yes.
You're going to prevent us from learning about our history, then we're going to create a Black history curriculum.
Exactly. So 904 Word published the curriculum, but the students did the work and will take home proceeds from the sales of the curriculum.
So the money goes to them?
Yeah.
And did you say they had a podcast?
I think 904 Word has one.
Okay. We'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah.
Did you see that T-Pain actually has, I didn't know this, written a lot of country songs?
I didn't know this either. He recently stated this during a podcast that he was on before the Super Bowl. So this was before, I think, Beyoncé announced her record.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I have the timeline right or not. But yeah, he says he plans to continue to write country music songs as a ghostwriter. He revealed that he stopped taking credit for the country songs he worked on because of the racism he dealt with in the genre.
Jesus.
So he says, I wrote a lot of country songs, and the country songs that I get credit on, I wouldn't say backlash or anything like that, but there was a lot of criticism of why did they let a Black person be a part of this, or things like that. It was just a lot of that stuff. So I kind of just backed off from putting my name on things, and I just collect the money. That's what he told the Hollywood Reporter.
Smart.
I don't need to be known for any of that. That's fine.
But it's terrible that he's not known. Because, wouldn't you kill to know which songs?
Yeah, because he won't say. He didn't say which ones. So he says, I'm a ghostwriter, and it's just easier. Why not? I'm not in it for fame. I want to make sure my kids are straight and make sure their kids are good. I'll be fine. So he's taking care of his family, respect, right? But it's so stupid that he can't be listed on there because of racism.
Yeah.
And so he was asked, like, he won't reveal which songs, but if we've heard these songs before, and he said, "Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely." So he's been with other artists too, not just in the R&B and rap industry.
Right.
So aside from creating his own songs, T-Pain has also produced for Chris Brown, Lil Wayne, Kehlani, Sierra, and Akon. And though he's based in the R&B and hip-hop world, he has collaborated with acts like Taylor Swift, Steve Aoki, Wisin y Yandel, which is a Spanish reggaeton group, Lily Allen, The Lonely Island, and Jesse McCartney. When asked if he faced similar criticism in other genres outside of country music, he said, "No, not at all.
Of course.
It's pretty much country, but we know why. That's how that works."
Wow. And he's just doing it still. Like,
yeah. He's like, "I'm going to get my check." Which, yeah, screw them, right?
Right. Yeah.
You don't know, but you're making a black man rich.
Yeah, right?
I love that for him.
Right? It's so a similar story. Have you heard of Mickey Guyton or Guyton? Mickey Guyton?
Mickey Guyton. What? It sounds familiar, but I can't.
So she's a black country artist. She's often described as the token black country artist. She's Grammy nominated, and she went on tour with Brad Paisley.
Huh. Brad Paisley's pretty woke.
Yeah, that's true.
He's a good one.
But, like, can you imagine some of his fans maybe aren't so...
Yeah.
Unless they find out he's woke.
Right.
And then they're like, oh, fuck you, Brad.
Yeah. I think that's happened.
But she told The New Yorker about, I guess, feeling like the token black country artist while performing with Brad Paisley in front of audiences full of Confederate flags.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine that. I don't. I wouldn't know what that would be like, but holy shit, that's like...
That's...
The Confederate flag thing
It's a
still
huge thing for them.
pisses me off. Yeah. And as Floridians, we see them all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. I mean, you know what's stupid? Like, you can go to Ohio and still see Confederate flags. It's not a Southern thing. It's a racist symbol.
It is.
Like, when I go visit family up in Michigan, sometimes we drive, and I'm just like, wait, why am I seeing a Confederate flag right now? I'm over the Dixie line or whatever, you know. But no, Confederate flags are all over the country, and they're just a symbol of racism.
Right. You can deny it all you want, but I think in today's day, you know what it stands for, and there's no good excuse for it. It's bullshit. So the same way the Confederate flag, right, is to me a big sign of racism
and hate, yeah.
So is the Nazi flag.
Obviously.
And Nazis, right? Obviously.
But we're seeing it so much more.
Yes. And
like this weekend.
Yeah. You sent me a link that they were in Tennessee, right?
No, Orlando.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I saw a post that they were in Tennessee, and I was like, same weekend.
Yeah.
And they're just out here.
I couldn't see what, like, whoever had posted it, I couldn't see what they had written on their signs, but, like...
Yeah. It's something hateful. I mean,
something hateful. Because it's President's Day? It's like, what was the... I just am always curious, like, what is going through your mind right now?
Right.
That makes you want to stand on the side of the road with a Nazi flag when you could be at home watching football. Maybe it was the Super Bowl game. I don't know. I don't even remember when it was.
Maybe they're upset about Beyonce's record.
Yeah, who knows?
These fucking people don't need a reason, right?
And there is no rhyme or reason to their behavior.
But hate it's
running rampant.
Yeah.
You know, when you have presidential candidates like Donald Trump, you know, it doesn't make it better. When you have the legislation here in Florida continuing to evolve and not going anywhere, it doesn't make it better. So, but we're gonna fight it, right? Do we have any 5-star stories?
Well, I think the kids that wrote that oh my god, the high school kids.
You could call them kids.
Well, I was just stuttering through it, so I was like, oh.
I thought you were saying they're not. Like, listen, you're a kid until you graduate college.
Yeah.
Like, right?
I mean, high school, junior.
Yeah.
They're young. They're like 16, right?
Doesn't make you less of a like, they're awesome.
Well, yeah, to me, that's a
5-star story?
5-star story.
Yeah.
I'm getting tired.
This is our second episode of the day.
They freaking wrote a whole curriculum on Black History.
That is so cool.
To me, that's super amazing.
Yes.
And then did I mention this already?
No, not yet.
There's a bookstore opening up in Jacksonville as well by State Representative Angie Nixon. And she's opening it with her daughter. And it's a mission for her community. Mm-hmm. So she said, we wrote a book together because she didn't like to read. We wrote several comics together, and we won one spark, which that's cool. I didn't know that.
Wow. So she wrote a book with her kid?
Yeah, I didn't know that part.
That's really cool.
So I'll have to look into that book. But she's opening up a business called Cafe Resistance Bookstore.
Oh, I love that.
And it's going to be at 5007 Southell Drive in Jacksonville, Florida. The Cafe Resistance bookstore is in the same neighborhood as Jean Ribault High School, where according to district data, only 29% of students during last school year achieved a passing English language arts score.
Whoa.
So she says, I just wanted to give back and offer free tutoring programs to help the children get on grade level. In addition to that, I serve in the state legislature, and there's been a lot of book bans and book challenges.
Yeah.
So,
to say the least.
She's opening up this bookstore. Primarily, it will primarily house books about Black history and by Black authors.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Included on the shelves are books that have been removed from classrooms around the state in compliance with Florida HB 1467.
Stop, okay.
Which requires books to be free of pornography or certain race-based teachings. Mm-hmm. And just to be clear, these books are not pornographic.
No.
It's just extremists who want to pretend that these books are pornographic.
Yeah, we're not promoting pornography.
Yeah.
We have to say that all the time.
Some of the books would actually teach us and our children accurate, true history, particularly Black history.
So this is where the banjo came from.
Right. And so I wanted to offer up books to help combat that. So I think also in addition to that, she's going to have music lessons in the space. Awesome. And it's going to be a cafe. So yeah, if you're in Jacksonville, Florida, support this business once it opens. And I think it's just a great 5-star story.
That is awesome. That's a good story to end on. We hope you liked the Bay episode, the Beehive.
The Beehive, Beehive. Someone correct us and let us know how you say it.
Beehive, Beehive. But yeah, what are we doing next, Jennifer? Do you know?
New Kid.
New Kid. I'm doing New Kid. I should know that. So yeah, our next episode is actually going to be a book. It's going to cover New Kid, a graphic novel, and
by Jerry Craft.
Thank you, by Jerry Craft. And it's a middle school book, right?
I think it's called middle grade, so I always think middle school, but it's like 8 and over.
Okay. Oh, middle grade.
Yeah.
Oh, so that could be like 4th grade. Right. To like 9th grade.
To me, when they say middle grade, I'm thinking middle school. So
right, I see that too.
It's more like, my son's read it.
Okay. So stay tuned for that. And remember, don't ban books.
Ban bigots. This episode has been engineered and mixed by your hosts, Jennifer Mendoza and Courtney Green.
Thanks for listening, and be sure to follow us at MILF for Books. That's MILF, the number 4, books, on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it.
And don't forget to help the show by rating us wherever you get your podcasts.